You just watched a pregnancy test turn positive. 2 lines, a hormone, a fact, confirmed in seconds. But for most of human history, that certainty didn't exist. There was no test. There was only 9 months of waiting and a question nobody could answer for sure. What actually causes a baby to exist? You'd assume the answer was obvious. It wasn't. Start with the Trobriand Islanders, a Pacific society studied in the early 1900s by anthropologist Bronisław Malinowski. He lived among them for years, learning their language, listening to their explanations of the world. And what he found stunned him. Many Trobrianders did not believe sex caused pregnancy. Not fully. They believed a baby spirit already existed, drifting near a sacred reef, and chose to enter a woman's body on its own. Intercourse opened the path. It didn't plant the seed. Were they simply wrong? Or were they answering a harder question than you think? Because conception is invisible. You have sex and nothing happens. No flash, no signal. Weeks pass before a missed cycle. Months pass before a belly changes shape. If you were reverse engineering cause and effect using only your eyes, would you land on sperm and egg? Or would you look for a different kind of answer, one that fit the timeline you could actually observe? This is why mythologies everywhere reach for the same trick. Isis conceives Horus through magic, not ordinary union. Greek gods father children through swans and golden showers, entirely outside the body's normal rules. Miraculous births fill the Hebrew Bible, granted by divine will to women who could not conceive. Read it as superstition, or read it as people explaining a process they could feel the effects of, but never witness the mechanism of. Now, travel to the Amazon. Anthropologist Stephen Beckerman spent years studying tribes across South America who held a belief called Partible paternity. A child could have more than one biological father, not socially, biologically. If a woman had sex with multiple men during pregnancy, each man was believed to contribute part of the child, layer by layer. Strange to you? In several of these societies, children with multiple recognized fathers had higher survival rates. More men felt responsible for feeding them, protecting them. The belief wasn't a scientific error. It was a social technology, and it worked. So maybe the question isn't whether ancient humans knew where babies came from. Maybe it's why we assume knowing the mechanism was ever the point. Here's what required no explanation at all. The urge itself. Desire, arousal, intercourse, wired in long before language, inherited from ancestors going back tens of millions of years. No one needed to teach anyone how to want. That part came standard. What came later, slowly, imperfectly, was the story layered on top. And meaning has to explain, delay. Effect arrives late. Cause is buried in a moment that already passed. Is it really surprising so many cultures reached for spirits and divine timing instead of biology? Without paternity tests, a man had no proof a child was his. None. So cultures built systems around trust and ritual instead. Some enforced strict monogamy, treating certainty as something worth punishing for. Others removed the need for certainty altogether. Marriage itself, in many early societies, worked less like romance and more like a paternity technology, a public witnessed claim. This child belongs to this line. You still do a version of this today? A ring, a shared last name, a birth certificate with a signature. All descended from the same ancient problem. How do you prove something invisible actually happened? It took until the 1600s for anyone to see sperm cells under a microscope. It took until the 1800s to fully understand the egg's role. For the overwhelming majority of human history, nobody, anywhere, knew the mechanism you learned in a single school science class. Everyone was guessing, using the best framework their culture had built. And here's the twist. You already know the mechanism: sperm, egg, fertilization. You could draw the diagram from memory, but does knowing it change how you actually talk about a pregnancy with someone you love? You still say a baby was meant to be. You still say two people made something together, as if creation were more than chemistry. The biology got solved centuries ago. The meaning-making never needed solving. It was never really about the mechanism at all. So the next time you see two pink lines on a plastic stick, remember what that moment used to require. Not a hormone strip. A story. A belief system sturdy enough to explain the unexplainable, passed down, argued over, and quietly rewritten by every generation that came before you, each one certain they'd finally gotten it right.